What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our channel. I want to start by saying thank you to our Facebook community, I guess. Might be small for some people, but we have, at the moment, 484 followers. Actually, I think last I checked it was 487. So thank you a lot. Come subscribe to us on YouTube. Watch some of our channels, because our last one at this moment only got 6 views.
Yeah.
It was 3 for the first 4 or 5 days, and then the next day it was 6. I know it sounds like not many, because it's not, but it is to us. It means a lot to us. Yeah, I guess that's all about that. Yeah, we're gonna listen to Muse, "Will of the People" today. Released August 26, 2022. It's their newest album, 9th studio album, which I can't believe they only have 9 albums for how long they've been around.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bands that have been around just as long, and they have way more. But I mean, I think this is definitely a band where quality definitely overtakes quantity.
Yeah, and I get the feeling they don't rush anything. They want it to sound good first and foremost. It was produced by them, and this is from Wikipedia, so it sounds cheesy, just so you know. It's a genre-hopping album that Matthew Bellamy described as a greatest hits album of new songs.
Yeah.
He said the lyrics on the album were inspired by the increasing uncertainty and instability in the world, and the album is a personal navigation through these fears and preparation for what comes next. And when you listen to it, you can kind of hear it. Even though they claim it's not a concept album, there's a pretty clear message in this album.
I think so. And then there's a few songs, too, where I think that they are trying to, kind of in a hidden sort of way, relate how the world is coming to grips with COVID at the time, because it was I want to say this came out in August of 2022, didn't it?
August 26th, yeah. So it came out 2 years after COVID hit, but it was kind of right towards the tail end of it.
Right, and
I'm sure it was written in 2020.
Right, and then right around this time too, this is when the world's kind of come back to being more or less normal right afterwards and everything.
And it was when economy and everything started taking its shit.
Right.
Let's start it. Now, my first thought when I first heard the song "Will of the People," I think it was the second single of this album, I thought it sounded like Marilyn Manson. It sounds a lot like "The Beautiful People."
Yeah,
just the rhythm of it.
Right, I would say it's got almost exactly the same rhythm.
Yeah.
Except as if Muse was Marilyn Manson. That's what it kind of sounds like.
Right.
It even has that chunky chug guitar that's in "Beautiful People."
Yeah. Yeah, they said that they call it a greatest hits album of new songs because it pulls elements from all their previous albums and brings it into this one. So this, to me, it sounds like something from one song in particular from Simulation Theory.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the song was. It was the one that Terry Crews was in the video for. And I think later they did they had the UCLA marching band come in and record that part. It was pretty cool. I can't remember what the song's called, but
yeah, and like I said, I'm not super familiar with the group, but the only other album of theirs I've heard is Second Law. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I can kind of see what you're saying, because some of their stuff would hit the radio every now and again, and I can hear it in this. I mean, I would say though my biggest gripe with this song, it's a good song. I mean, it's a pop song and it's pretty good, but it's just my biggest gripe is the distorted vocals. I've never been a fan of that.
I've never liked that when really good singers put a filter on their voice. You don't have anything to hide. Your voice sounds great. Which Matt Bellamy, what is it? I've talked about this many times, maybe not on here, but singers named Matt.
Yeah,
they're always the
they're
best
always
singers.
really good.
Fucking Matt Bellamy, Matt Tuck from Bullet, Matt Heafy from Trivium.
Yeah.
Say what you want about him, but M Shadows, Matt from Avenged Sevenfold. It's all the best singers are named Matt.
I agree, and this guy's no different. I mean, I remember the very first time I heard this band. Shit, I was not expecting the singer to be this good, and even then, it was another one of those situations where when I first heard this band, I just wrote them off as like another pop band from the time.
Yeah.
Like, cause I think the first time I heard them was probably around mid 2000s.
Yeah, probably
like,
what, Knights of Sidonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
then,
that was for them. That was probably one of their biggest songs of the time. But that was when they hit like mainstream popularity because they were on the Twilight movie.
Yeah, they were on Twilight, and then they were, you know,
a couple songs on Twilight.
Yeah, and then they were also on Guitar Hero and stuff like that. And you know, I mean, I don't know. We were talking about this earlier. How Guitar Hero, it just took certain songs and just kind of turned them into earworms.
And
I mean,
huge
it's just,
hits. Yeah.
I don't know, but like I said, I mean, this song, it's pretty good. It's to me, it's just, you know, typical pop, but at the same time, you know, it's got some elements to it that are pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, and these guys, a lot of times I feel like when bands start getting huge, like popularity, I feel like it's not really deserved. You know, like sometimes it's just like they had one huge hit or something like that,
right?
And then they got really famous after that. These guys, I feel like it was well deserved. Like
I think so.
I think I said it in our last video. I don't know if I put it in the video, but their whole discography, like minus their EPs and live albums, I think there was only 8 songs of theirs that had less than 1 million plays on YouTube.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And most of those were like, of those 8 songs were like intros or like interludes, just real short. Like on, is it Absolution? Yeah, the first song is just a like 10-second long intro, and then like in Second Law, right before, what's that one song? I don't know. There's another just like piano like interlude. Like those only had like, but even those were close to 1 million views.
Right.
It was like 750,000 plays or something like that.
What that tells me is people are listening to the album all the way through, though.
Yeah.
So I mean, they might be skipping maybe a few out of 100,000 are skipping some songs and stuff. But it's telling me that those that are listening to the album, they're listening to the full album. So that's pretty cool. This is my favorite song on this album. I'm not going to deny it. Like this one, I think it's got even more of a pop element to it than the previous song does. But just the chord changes that they chose on this song, where the melody overarcs over it, it works so good.
Yeah, these guys are cool. They weren't afraid to take risks, which is what I really liked about them. And like now, like I said, that's the only thing is they've gotten so popular that it's not really a risk anymore.
Right.
But it's just kind of become who they are. Like this, like I don't know, you can't really call it EDM, but like the synthesizers and stuff like that, and then just the weird, and then his crazy like falsetto vocals. And when they came out, I'm sure it was like a huge like, what the fuck is this? Like,
I know. Well, that's why I wrote them off.
Yeah, but when they came out, they were just like a rock band, and he just sang high. You know, they kind of sounded more like I don't know, bands like the Killers.
Yeah,
like kind of more of those like indie pop bands or whatever. Well, not really indie, but yeah, just like that kind of alternative.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then same thing with the Killers. I mean, when I first heard them, I didn't realize the song I was listening to was the Killers for that reason.
Yeah.
Because like you hear about certain bands at that time, early to mid 2000s, and you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to them because of, you know, you hear about stuff from people and all that, and like this band, Killers, a couple others, it's just like, I don't know why I never really gave them the shot, aside from just word of mouth from other people, you know?
Yeah, this is cool. This sounds like a video game. Like it reminds me of like Centipede.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about this song is it's like you're sitting here thinking, okay, well I can kind of go with the groove of what's going on. I'm kind of in, got with the picture on it. Then all of a sudden, pal, here comes some weird stuff, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. Beautiful singing.
It's fucking awesome. I love Muse, and live. Oh my god, dude, his voice live is fucking incredible. Like he sounds almost exactly like the record.
Yeah. And
I don't think they do any like processing or anything like that live. I highly doubt it.
Well, even then, I mean, on this album compared to a couple of the ones that they made in the past, like I would say in the 2010s, he still sounds about the same. He hasn't really changed much.
Yeah, Matt Bellamy is just one of those singers that he's just fucking incredible. Like, I don't know. I know there's not going to be another Freddie Mercury, but if there was, it would be him.
Yeah, well, he's certainly this generation's Freddie Mercury. Well, I was going to say, too, British singers, it's very hit or miss. Sometimes they're outstanding singers, but otherwise they suck. And, like, in this case, he's outstanding, like right in the mold of like Freddie Mercury, or
Yeah,
I know I'm gonna catch.
This song sounds a lot like Queen.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say this sounds an awful lot like Queen, and I digged it, but at the same time I'm like, it's a lot like Queen. So I was like, you know, Queen, I like them, but at the same time they're not my favorite band. They were just a little too schmaltzy for me.
This sounds like something from like Absolution era.
Yeah.
Which is pretty early on, which is that this is kind of like they weren't all piano rock and stuff like that, but there's a song like this on Second Law too.
Yeah.
And it was the same one I was thinking of earlier, and I can't for the life of me think of what it was called.
I mean, yeah, I don't remember the name of the songs either. I just remember because when I was listening to that one, I took it as what it was, a concept album, and I didn't even really pay attention to the song names. I didn't know Panic Station was called Panic Station for a long time. But, yeah, I mean, I just took it as a, like, any of those kind of concept albums. I just kind of listened to it as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, I would really, unless you're a huge Pink Floyd nerd, I really kind of test all of you out there to try to name every single song on the wall.
Right. Well, and I mean, I can hear Pink Floyd in some of this shit too. Like, like the way that his voice is so melancholy with like some kind of really upbeat sounding, like that big hit right there. That reminds me of like, what's that song from The Wall, where like it's right after Waiting for the Worms.
Yeah. Well, Waiting for the Worms, then it goes into Trial.
Is it Vera?
Vera, yeah. Oh, yeah, like the drum roll and shit like that.
Just that real pretty, yeah.
And
it's really just all piano and just kind of pretty.
Oh, it's Bring the Boys Back Home.
Bring the Boys Back Home. Yeah, that's the song I'm thinking of, yeah.
See, I am a Pink Floyd nerd, so I know some of the songs. Now, as far as that band goes, too, though, I mean, modern musicians, not just the Muse, but I mean, I think they're starting to really get a lot more soulful, like how David Gilmour was with his playing and all that. I'm really starting to hear that a lot more instead of just, you know, spitfiring your way through the scales and everything. So I like hearing that. This is one of the first times on a first listen where I was listening to the lyrics more so than the music itself, just because I kind of wanted to understand the message that they were trying to get across, and I wanted to see if there was any parallels between what was going on in society and their message on the album.
This song's funny. Yeah, it sounds like...
Yeah, it sounded just like, what is it, Take On Me right at the beginning.
Me, yeah. And then, but like, not this specifically, but like the chorus and stuff, that sounds a lot more like typical Muse. Like, exactly like something from Absolution, or like their more hard rock stuff. Yeah.
I do like that real deep synthesizer that comes in and out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Muse is just fucking awesome. Like, I usually don't listen to a lot of bands that are just like super popular, but like I said, I didn't realize how popular they were. Right. Like, but
I mean, usually with these progressive type or electronic type bands, they're not typically like widespread popularity. They're more of like a niche kind of band. But no, I mean, same thing. I did not realize that they were going to be like enormous like this.
But I mean, these guys are easily one of my favorite bands. Like, as far as like non-metal goes, they're probably my favorite band.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this is way outside of typical for what I would listen to, but yeah, I mean, every time I hear them, there's a lot of elements in it that I can actually enjoy. Yeah. And I think that's what this band really brings to the table.
The brand works.
Right. I just think it's cool what they bring to the table, because it's like they truly are one of those, they're something for everybody kind of bands.
The only thing I could say is that like an older generation might be like, oh, they're ripping off Queen too much, or he sounds like he's trying too hard to sound like Freddie Mercury.
Right.
I could see a lot of people probably saying that, but
I don't know. Like, it's just when people, especially, I'm not sitting here trying to rip on the older crowd, but
people, they don't see talent for talent.
Right.
That's kind of what makes me mad about the older generation.
It's almost like whoever's established or whoever was around at the time, like that's in the 70s or 80s. Yeah, that's all that there is. And I'm like, no, I mean, a lot of these newer musicians that are coming out, they do have some talent and they do have something to offer. And I'll be honest, I used to be one of those where, you know, anything past 1994, I would sit here and say, oh yeah, it's not worth listening to. But I'm starting to really kind of develop more of a taste for more modern stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as 90s goes, these guys started in the mid-90s.
Right.
So you can almost call them a 90s band.
Right.
They just don't sound like anything from the 90s. And that's probably why they didn't catch on right away, because their first album didn't come out till 99.
And, you know, it was interesting. I was reading a little bit about them. I didn't know that they were part of Woodstock 99.
Oh, I didn't either.
Yeah, they were on the up-and-coming artist stage, it said, and like I didn't read too far into it or anything, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And they played with the Chili Peppers, like that. I thought was very interesting. Like 1999 Chili Peppers did not sound anything like the Muse at the time, so
it's just Muse.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I'm gonna start calling them the Pink Floyds too.
Pink Floyds. It's like that Sum 41 video.
Yeah.
The Led Zeppelins, you feel me? Guys, the Sums. This is one of my favorite songs of that stuff. He's just such a good musician. He's a great guitarist. He's a great singer. He's really good at piano.
Yeah, this is Ghosts, right?
Yeah, this song's got like a parenthesis. This song is so pretty.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very good song.
And then like towards the middle, when he gets like it kind of starts getting a little bit emotional. Like his voice gets a little bit like it all up right at the breaking point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I like the fact that they kept it a little bit more ambiguous. Like he's not, that I know of, he's not really singing about or to a specific person.
This song's not about a person. It's about pre-COVID.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So that he's kind of relating it back.
It is
to
ambiguous
how it used
because
to be.
you can definitely relate to it like it as a relationship that ended. But I'm pretty sure this song, if you really listen to it, I interpret it as he's kind of being nostalgic about pre-COVID.
Okay, and I can see that because yeah, like I said, I took it a little more literal. So I mean, but at the same time, yeah, I can definitely see that he would be talking about times that are gone by and how the world is now as opposed to how it once was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like that part when he just kind of talks about you, and then he says what is it right here? Yeah. All the best things we made together. Like I'm pretty sure. I mean, you could definitely relate it to a relationship,
right?
But I'm pretty sure that it's
about being more worldly than that. Yeah.
What's the word I'm thinking of? Like romanticizing. I think he's romanticizing pre-COVID.
Yeah. And it does. I mean, when you think about it, it seems like because I mean, him and I have lived the majority of our lives pre-COVID, so I mean, it's like you can kind of see that there is like a ending of things right around that time and a beginning of new things after. Yeah. So I mean, I can kind of see where he's coming from on this song, but I don't know. Like to me, it seems like kind of a stark contrast in between the two times.
This is the only song I didn't like on this album.
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay, but it's just I don't know. It's kind of cheesy.
I would say it's cheesy, and I don't know if they intended it to be, but it's kind of to me a cop-out song because it came out like right at the end of August. Halloween was coming up, so I mean, I'm sitting here like, I don't know if they were trying to make that or trying to be like Thriller or anything like that, but
maybe. But this sounds like it would have been on Simulation Theory, which is the album before this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they were still in the mindset of that when they wrote this. I don't know. Or maybe they wrote it for that album and it just didn't make it.
It could be. Because I know some artists do that. They'll either put it in a deluxe package and put all their B-sides or album songs that didn't quite make the album. They'll put it on there. Maybe that was the case with this.
I don't know. His vocals are cool though.
His vocals were cool, but it's just the synthesizer is like
it's pretty
very cheesy, and it's just like naming it what they named it and everything. It's just like, all right, phone it in, guys.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got to do something cheesy, and this wasn't even a single. It wasn't a hit. I think this was probably the least played song on this album.
Yeah, and I can see why.
Yeah.
I mean, even still, I mean, I think it's interesting, and I think it's kind of a bold move on their part considering the rest of this album, but at the same time I'm like I don't know, I don't know if anybody saw that movie Bohemian Rhapsody, but when they talk about I'm in love with my car, this is kind of like that song, it's just like I don't know about that. Was it really strong enough for the album,
Yeah, that's kind of what another thing that bugged me about this album is like it's good, but I don't see it as being like a classic like their earlier stuff like Absolution or like I don't know, maybe even Black Holes. I wasn't a big fan of Black Holes either, but
that was the only part of the song I liked though, was the actual guitar solo.
Oh yeah, his guitar
was
solo.
Really good.
His guitar works really good on this album. Yeah, as it gets to like the just some single notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got some like that sounded like Prince.
Yeah, it sounds an awful lot like Prince. Or
this song just sounds like Prince, and I think about it.
But then I will say too though, from this song onward, the rest of the album's really good. Like, I can't wait till we get to some of the rest of it.
Yeah. When this album came out, I didn't really care for it too much, just because I was one of those, like, I like their old stuff better.
Yeah.
But, and at the time, I was like, well, nothing that they can do can top Second Law. That's probably my favorite album by them.
I think that's their most cohesive album. It's literally got something for everybody.
But that's the album that was the least well received by them.
Which, I don't understand that. I mean,
But the more I've listened to it over the past week, the more that this album has really grown on me. But I don't see it being like one of their greats. You know,
don't think
like
so.
Absolution was a fucking great album. You know, Origins of Symmetry was a fucking great album. Which that was another one I didn't really listen much to, but I listened to that one a little bit. That album's really good.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of good singles on there.
So this song, when it first came on, when I was listening to it, the way the intro is, I'm like, well, did they go metal here? It's like, damn. But then the keyboard came in, and I'm like, oh, okay. Or the synth came in, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and this sounds like it would have been on probably Origins of Symmetry. A lot of this, it seems like he said it's like a greatest hits album of new songs or whatever, but to me it sounds like they took from like Absolution and Simulation Theory and combined it and made a record.
Yeah.
Like, which isn't a bad thing, but I don't know, Drones is a really good album too. That's a concept album about drone warfare. That's pretty interesting.
I like that chord. Warning, music theory content. I really like that chord substitution they do. The second chord that they play in the sequence, it's a substituted chord. So, I mean, when they do that, it hits you with a little bit of surprise, and you're expecting the familiar, like, 1-4-5 or something like that. It hits you with surprise, and you're just like, wow, okay. And then it draws the listener's attention in. So, I don't know. Like, that's one of the things about this band that I really appreciate, too, is they know their shit when it comes to theory.
Yeah, I feel like it's a British thing. Like, I think British artists are just more in tune with sound. No pun intended. They're just more in tune with, like, the knowledge of music. Like, they're just maybe a little bit more educated or whatever. A little bit more traditional.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, and then reading about Matt, he is... And you read this a million times with a million different artists, but he started playing piano right at a very early age and went on to guitar. But I mean, like, whenever that's the case, they're gonna end up knowing a lot of theory and a lot of how to put together a chord change.
Yeah, and he's a really good pianist too. He's a good piano player too. He, I don't know.
I'm not sure why, but I mean, I was always under the impression that he was. Homosexual for some reason. No, he's not. Like, maybe it's just the way I heard his voice and everything like that. Maybe I just kind of made that connection, but he's not. It's really interesting, though, like how you can kind of be prejudicial when you're listening to somebody and think something of them.
I think it's just because of the parallels between him and Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, that could be.
But Freddie Mercury wasn't technically gay. He was bisexual.
Right. He was an equal opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, no disrespect to Freddie Mercury, but anybody that dies of AIDS, you're gay. I mean, it's facts. I'm not trying to disrespect him or anything like that, but that's a badass riff. And I was gonna say, like, on Wikipedia, they have like their list of like known genres or whatever, and it said metal or progressive metal. I'm like, I never really thought of them as a metal band, but there's some metal elements. Like,
there's some elements.
That's a pretty badass like chug riff.
Oh yeah,
this solo is insane for him.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can hear a lot of tapping and shit going on. A lot of arpeggiation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That's probably like the most technical I've ever heard him play.
Well, and I'll tell you too, like, having heard this band a few times, I would have classified them somewhere in like electronic rock. I mean, I don't know, like heavy metal. I hear some elements here and there, but it's not like they sit on it long enough for me to consider them heavy metal.
Yeah, I would say if you're a fan of, so this album doesn't have so much like electronic shit as some of their other albums, but if you're a fan of like EDM or metal or just classic rock or, like more like Queen, like their piano and classical kind of sounding stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to these guys. You'll probably like it because it just combines all that shit. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if you're not ready yet to listen to like Periphery or Dream Theater bands like that, this is a good bridge to that.
They're not even on the same level.
No, but that's what I was saying is like they're kind of like a good bridge to that.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, this is like hardcore progressive light. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And that too, like, I don't really think I don't consider them progressive.
Yeah,
I mean, they have like concept albums, like that's it. But the way it sounds, like, but I think this was a good follow up to 2112 because, like I said, the same thing about that. Like, it's considered a progressive rock album, but I don't, or they're probably just because they're considered a progressive rock band. But that album to me doesn't sound like a progressive rock album.
Like, and you know, aside from like Once in a Great While on that album, and then this one as well. Once in a Great While, there's time signature changes, but they don't like make it nauseating on here. Like it's nice and seamless, or they put it in tastefully. They're not sitting here going, I'm going to write in 7/4 because I want to. You know, I mean, that just, to me, that's not a good approach to making a song. It's just, I want to write a song in this weird time signature with this weird key signature. You know? Yeah. I did actually really like this song.
He's got such a great voice. Yeah. Is this what's this song?
I want to say it's Verona.
I think it is Verona,
yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's good that this one came on now because I was just thinking about this. This one, it just seems like after reading the lyrics, it just seemed an awful lot like he was trying to make a connection between the entirety of the COVID pandemic and Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, well, especially in the line when he talks about contagion on the lips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, okay, well, that might be a directly stated line about COVID and everything, but then if you think about Romeo and Juliet, that's how they died at the end of the play. So
yeah, I really liked the next song.
Yeah,
surprisingly, because it's just so upbeat, which is kind of different for me.
Yeah,
Euphoria.
Yeah,
but the message in that song, like, that's what I really like about this band, is that each song has a message, and like a lot of people can relate to the messages they're trying to relay.
Yeah,
and like Euphoria, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's about, he says like it's been all work and no play.
Yes, and that's what it was at the time. But
that's how, like, not even like a message from the time, but like just how like our working class is, like, we don't get time to have play a lot of times. You know what I mean? Like a lot of us are just spend all of our time working, and like, I don't know, maybe it was just in the moment when I listened to it, it hit me hard, and then maybe that's why I like the song.
Yeah,
because normally I don't care about lyrics, but like these guys, he puts forth such a good message, you know? Right.
Well, and I was just going to say that too. As a person who never, and I'm not kidding, I never listened to the lyrics on first listen. That's the first thing I listened to with this album.
Well, these guys, it's hard not to, because his voice is just so powerful, and like it's just, you can't help it.
Right. I mean, and really, it's like another instrument in the band. I mean, it's he's matching pitch almost perfectly. He's got great delivery. He's got that's why it was easy for me to hear the lyrics and understand them, because he's got good enunciation, even for a British fella, you know.
The only thing about this song, it sounds like fucking Coldplay.
It kind of does.
I fucking hate Coldplay, but
I hate Coldplay for the simple reason that I'm sick of the people who like Coldplay.
I don't like Coldplay because I don't like Coldplay. Their music isn't good to me. It's uninspired and shitty.
It is. I mean, their music could be good if they put a little more effort into it. But again, it's kind of like, you know, and I don't even care if I make offense here. Taylor Swift fans, Coldplay fans, I'm just sick of their fans.
Yeah.
Like, just, they're the greatest band ever. Nickelback fans, same thing. They're the greatest bands ever. No, they're not. Like, they're cookie cutter, you know, try to make money, cash grab type bands.
Yeah, they're all just trying to make money. And that's the difference between, like, these guys and Coldplay. These guys, like, sure, now that they've been doing this for this many years, 30 years now? Of course, they're making a living off it, and now they're doing it at probably more extent than before for the money. But
that's not where they started.
They've gotten so much popularity and fame, they don't need the money anymore. So I feel like they're doing it just because they love doing it. Like, once you get so much money, like,
you don't need
it comes to a
anymore.
point where it just doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
You know?
And to tell you the truth, I mean, to hear some of their other stuff, I really don't hear that was their whole intention from the beginning.
Mm-mm.
You know, I mean, and you can really tell, like, the music that stands the test of time and becomes part of culture and society. That's the kind of music that does, that comes from the heart and the soul, as opposed to, you know, I have to make the perfect chord progression, I have to use perfect theory, I have to make it so it's pleasing to the masses.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of stuff that becomes one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
Whereas this kind of stuff, that's what becomes endearing to everybody.
Right. And then when you listen to it, especially like a little bit, you know, like around Second Law, when they were like in the middle of their career still, guitar's still, like, it's still raw. Like, it's still not overly produced. And I mean, maybe they put more... This song,
I like how it starts.
Maybe they put more emphasis on his voice. But, like, I mean, it seems like they got their roots in grunge.
Yeah,
and, you know...
See, the beginning here reminds me an awful lot of Knights of Sidonia, or Sidonia.
Yeah, and this song sounds a lot like that album.
But then all of a sudden it just kicks right into right here. Like, it just kicks right back into a nice groove that you can just get into.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a cheesy pop song from the 80s.
Right.
But, like, his message is so good.
Right. I noticed, too, with his singing technically, rhythmically, that is, he likes to sing off the beat a lot, like on the and, or he'll like string together like a bunch of syllables together. Like, I really don't have a good example from this album, but on Panic Station he'll like when he does the 1 2 3 4 5 you're still alive and all that, he just syllables right in succession.
What's funny about this is it reminds me of you're gonna laugh, but this song reminds me of Katy Perry's first album.
I can see that.
Her first album,
I can see that.
One of the Boys.
Yeah.
That album. Guilty pleasure of mine. I fucking love that album. I'm not a huge Katy Perry fan, but that album was really good.
I'll be honest, some of her stuff I actually do dig it. I was just going to mention too, because I heard it there, like I do in Knights of Sidonia. He has that technique with the whammy bar. That I just think that's really cool, and how precise he is with it.
Yeah.
It could sound like garbage if he didn't do it the way he does it. So.
And like I said, live, it sounds just like the record.
Yeah.
Like, we watched one of their live... Well, you watched a little bit of it. I watched the whole thing. I've seen that video a bunch of times, but he sounds exactly live. He sounds exactly like the record. It's crazy. Like, music, his voice, the backing, everything. It sounds fucking perfect. I would love to see these guys, but I don't think they're on tour right now. If they are, they're not in this country.
That's the other thing I wanted to mention about this group, because it happened just right there. The rest of the band has got a lot of power behind it, a lot of drive and everything, and he just comes way back on the vocals, and he's a lot more innocent sounding and a lot more, what's another way to put it, he's got a lot more airy quality to it, as opposed to just being full force power with the band, and I think that's a really cool dynamic level adjustment there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I appreciate shit like that, you know?
Yeah. And I think what's cool about this band is, especially coming off of listening to Rush, they're almost like exactly the opposite.
Right.
Like, as far as like band members, like their bass player, super fucking underrated.
Yes,
he's super talented, but he's not like Geddy Lee is like the forefront of that band.
Right.
It's kind of pushed down in this band, and but what's his name, Chris?
Oh yeah, the drummer.
No, the bassist.
Or yeah, I'm sorry. I don't really know their names.
That guy. Oh my god, he's fucking incredible bassist.
Yeah. Well, that one that on the video we were watching that you mentioned, that one bass he has where it's like basically a pad here. And
it's
like,
the Chaos pad.
Like, that's just fucking crazy. Like, I've never seen something like that.
The guitar solo too in this song. And he uses like that whammy pedal. Like, that's another thing that's kind of weird, because that became more of like a metal thing. Like, Gojira used it, Pantera's used it, and then he uses it.
Yep.
Like, but I mean, that was also like a Buckethead thing.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah, and then like their drummer Dominic, he not a super technical drummer, but I mean, he holds it down. Like, he gets the feeling of the song across, and that's all that matters. He's not a slouch at all, but
no. But really, that's all this band needs, is somebody who can play in the pocket and somebody who can hold the rhythm and the tempo very consistent. And but even then, like you said, he's no slouch. I mean, I've heard him do some shit.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, man, like, before I heard this album in its entirety, I did not expect him to be as good of a guitar player as he is. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And then when I saw some videos of his, like, live performances and stuff, so I can see what he's doing, like, just some of the shit he does, I would have never thought to do in a million years as a guitar player. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's really good. And he's one of the few guitarists that I think can make a fuzz pedal sound good.
I agree.
I do not like fuzz.
Yeah, fuzz is, to me, the style that I play, it just makes it muddy and gross sounding, and but in this context, it sounds really good.
Yeah, but he's also, it's like he's kind of up against like synths and stuff like that.
Right.
So like the two sounds kind of match.
Yeah, they kind of blend a bit.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to go through, like, say, a 5150 and use super high active pickups, I don't think it's going to work. I think you would cut through too much.
Well, and he uses, I'm pretty sure he uses Marshall.
Yeah.
At least in that video I watched, he was using Plexis.
Yeah.
And then he uses, is it Mason or Manson? I'm pretty sure it's Mason guitars, which I've never heard of them until I saw these guys, but I guess they make pretty high-end, like boutique shit.
Yeah, like, I've literally never heard of him, like, until I saw that video.
He's the only person that I've ever heard of that used them.
Yeah. Because I would have thought, too, like, just being British, they, typical, like, Gibson along with
Fenders,
Marshall kind of stuff.
But no, his guitars are weird, and he's got one that has a Chaos pad in it.
Yeah.
And those things are cool. If you haven't seen those, look it up. It's really cool.
Yeah, before that video, I'd never seen it, and I was like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah,
and I'm watching him, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool.
It's basically a touchpad synthesizer that runs through the guitar. It's really cool.
Like, it kind of reminds me of the kind of connection I made with it. It's kind of the same kind of innovation now as, like, the Chapman stick was when it came out.
Yeah.
So, like, I can play guitar and bass at the same time. It's got like all these strings on it, Yeah. Kind of the same sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, specifically watch live. It's from Second Law, the second song. What the fuck is that song called? Madness.
Okay.
Because their bass player has one of his basses, and that whole song is all Chaos pads.
Yeah.
So watch that if you're interested in what that does. But that was cool because he's got a double neck bass where half of it's the Chaos pad and the other half is just a bass.
Oh, okay.
And that's what he was playing in that video.
Which is
his guitar work in this album is so good. This sounds a lot like Black Holes and Revelations.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really the only thing that's gonna. We were talking about earlier how this might not become one of their classics or anything. I think that's the only argument they might have, for the contrary.
Yeah.
If you really want to hear the guitar type album from Muse, listen to this one.
That's so cool. I love the way this song breaks down at the end.
And I love it when they go 6/8. Like, they do it really good.
Yeah. And that's the end of the album. It's fucking good. I at first, when I heard it the first time, I wasn't a huge fan, but the more I listened to it over the past week or so,
it's grown on me.
It's up there now. It is probably, I don't know, it's probably a close second or third for me.
Yeah.
Because I love Absolution. I love Second Law. Second Law is probably my favorite, then Absolution. They're pretty close. And then this one, probably.
Yeah, this one, like I said, I mean, since I've only ever heard Second Law in its entirety aside from this album, yeah, I mean, I would say that this is not much worse than that, but at the same time, it's not quite what I expected.
Yeah.
Having heard Second Law, I'm just like, okay, well, it's almost as good, but it's not quite on the same level. I mean, I really do think that if you want to hear one of their best albums, listen to Second Law. That one's probably their best album in my opinion.
But you need to listen to some of their other stuff to kind of appreciate this more. Like, if you listen, you should listen to Absolution.
Yeah, because I don't know it. So
that album's fucking amazing. It's so good. That's got all their hits on it. Really, it's got "Time Is Running Out."
Okay, that's the song I was thinking of. There was one in here that sounded exactly like that. And I can't remember which song it was, but yeah, it sounded exactly like that song.
Yeah, that Stockholm Syndrome's on that album, and that's a pretty badass song. But yeah, definitely check out more.
Yeah,
they're really good. Yeah, I was really happy to really listen to this album because, like I said, when it came out, I liked the two singles when they first came out, and then the rest of the album I was just, I don't know, maybe I just forgot about it. I don't know, but I didn't care for it too much when it came out. And then just listening to it, like I said, over the past week or two, yeah, it's up there for me now. It's really good. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up with this one.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it was a really fun one to listen to for me. I mean, anytime I go outside of what I normally listen to, I do appreciate it. I think I kind of want to go into Dream Theater's Train of Thought next.
Yeah.
It's one of those albums where yeah, I don't know, like it's really technical. It's not, let me put it this way, I don't think it's one of their more known albums that's like huge for that band that everybody listens to, but I think it's kind of an important album for them, because I think that's the transition from the old Dream Theater, the way everybody used to kind of take them, to how they've kind of become recently.
Yeah.
So not only that, but that album fucking hits. I mean, that album's fucking heavy.
And then I think after that, it'd be a good idea to start listening to stuff that neither of us know.
Yeah.
So, Casey, make me a list. Anybody else watching, if you got any suggestions, let us know. Stuff that we don't know, like, so, you know, don't pick like Metallica.
Yeah.
Or like Iron Maiden.
Yeah. Anything like super popular like that.
Super popular, or like, you know, metal that everybody fucking knows.
Right.
So Casey, give us a list, because you know what I haven't listened to. You know what, you know, weird shit I want to listen to.
So, yeah, I mean, but like I said, yeah, I agree, though. I think after we do the Dream Theater one, it'd probably be a good idea to kind of go away from stuff that we've had some familiarity with, so.
Dream Theater next week, Train of Thought. If you can find the record, that'd be cool. I'm kind of liking this concept.
Yeah, I'll see if I can locate the record on it. Otherwise, I do.
Affirmative.
Yeah, right. I'll see.
Fuck, you sound like you're in the military. All right, cool. And then, yeah, like and subscribe. Give us some comments. Casey, give me a fucking list. Listen to Muse. Listen to Dream Theater. Watch all of our other videos. Yeah, if you're one of our Facebook followers, follow us on here. Cool. Thanks. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, have a good week.